Magic Touch has worked with a number of schools over the last couple of years of kind of wanting to create comics.
Me and Paul have been working with the students on creating their own comics and comic pages.
All of them are interested in one way or another, either in art or in stories, and it's just been a fantastic way of getting their ideas onto paper.
They let me draw in here, that's the best part.
We've done a few things, like a few things, exercises to get sort of our imaginations going, to come up with ideas.
Really just looking at comics and both how they're constructed and how they're written and how all of that sort of goes together to make a really well thought out version of storytelling.
The end product from this has just been this tremendous piece of work which really reflects, I think, not just the talents of the individuals involved, but the personalities and their own interests, which is exactly what we want to do with these programmes and projects. So it's been tremendous fun to work on.
So this thing's basically a setup. It's supposed to be a setup for a thing. It's like explaining this character's backstory, because again, this is all contained in the one thing. Because again, in the original thing, in the whole work, this was the only scene she appeared in, so I had to get everything in there in the one go. And I actually got very experimental from the drawing scenes. I'd never done that sort of thing where there's sort of a cleat and a glare coming off the sword there. One thing this is my first, I think this is probably my best thing with shading I've ever done, because again, it's supposed to be at sunset, so I was able to get really creative with it. It helped me to draw actual more dynamic scenes, really, because up to that point the most I'd drawn were really just characters standing more or less. This gave me something that actually made me to draw something a bit more different.
When the main character, Angel, has arrived at the place where the majority of the story is set, she, I guess, wakes up on the other side of her own life. She done everything in her means to get away from her own life, whereas now she's the one trying to save the world that she didn't even want to be a part of. The page here is just her making that sort of journey from being in her own world to becoming a part of everything else. They sort of allowed me to be able to condense a lot of what I'd written into manageable parts to be put into different panels and still make a coherent story out of it.
I made him, he was pretty much made when I was sleeping. It was pretty much a dream. Any ability people say he's got. First panel, people think he's really small, strong.
Looking at it from a slightly different perspective from novels that they're maybe looking at in English, it's been motivating. It's motivating for young people to look at a different media, different text. So yeah, in terms of literacy, it's been a fantastic motivator.
The story of The Last Great Auk is a very cruel and, very sad story about the last of a species of bird that once lived in the North Hebridean Islands. Ends up being killed because the three men thought it was a witch calling up a storm. Don't ask me how that happens. That's just how it worked out.
With each student, we've been working on different levels. Sometimes I'll be drawing the students' ideas, and other times I'll just be hanging around in the background, kind of a creative advisor.
For a lot of the things I like in my fandoms, I have more than 80 original characters for each one, like Attack on Titan, Doctor Who, and of course Tokyo Ghoul. So I used one of them. His name is Yataro, and he has an Ukaku, which is the high-speed type, and it can also shoot projectiles like bullets. And he's hunting this human, and then at the end, when he's almost about to eat it, he gets beheaded by another ghoul. Quite happy with it, because other than say one of my close friends from primary school or I usually just have internet friends to talk about it over. So
it was fantastic to see them grow. Some of it, the drawings have improved, some of it, the story ideas. A few have said that they actually plan to continue writing comics.
The structuring of it, being able to say that, yeah, this is your idea, but these are the best bits, these are what will make the panels, these are what could just be shown.
Well, to be fair, a good chunk of what I learned in the class I sort of already knew, but just that the class here kind of improved it. Like, for instance, the hero's journey idea. It's at least helped me to be a bit more confident and has improved my style of drawing with comic scripts.
It was good. I actually, one thing that it's helped me with is that, generally speaking, like, I'm not very good at actually starting on something. Like, I've had a lot of ideas like going on like in here since at least 2011, but I've not really done anything on them until this started. I've already got like a position in a professional writing course in college. I suppose it really just made a big prompt for me to actually start actually doing something as opposed to just start coming up with it in my head.
Probably more fan fiction type stuff, because I like to explore the science. So as I said, I'm too into the science of stuff. And a German friend of mine, we quite like to make a lot of characters together. So I'm thinking I might do one with them.
And it's just been a fantastic way of getting their ideas onto paper. Some of them had the ideas in their head but really struggled to bring them to life. And Paul and Mhairi have done a fantastic job of helping us to do that.